You cry out for purpose. You search for clarity. You long for peace. Yet the noise inside you is louder than my whisper. You wonder where I am. You question my presence. But I am not absent. I am not hiding. You just won't quiet down long enough to hear me. The volume of your pride is drowning out the sound of my voice. Your ego has taken my place. It speaks first. It speaks loudest. It demands attention, defends reputation, and deceives you into thinking you are in control. But it does not heal you. It does not restore you. It does not save. You chase applause and call it purpose. You run after validation and call it love. You build walls and call them wisdom. You assert yourself and call it strength. But your soul knows the truth. Deep down, you feel the hollowness. The striving never ends. The satisfaction never stays. I made you for more than this. I made you for me, not for the mirror, not for the crowd. You were not created to worship your reflection. You were made to reflect my image. And my image is humility. My image is holiness. My image is love. If you are tired of carrying the weight of pretending, tired of constantly performing, tired of the endless battle that never brings real peace, then be still. Be honest. Be humble. Listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. I am not trying to destroy you. I am trying to destroy what is destroying you. Not your enemies, not your limitations, but your ego. That voice that tells you to impress instead of confess. That impulse that drives you to defend instead of depend. Let me silence it. Let me free you from the tyranny of yourself. Chapter 1. You are not the center. The ego convinces you that everything revolves around you, that every delay is an offense, every criticism, a wound, every correction, an attack. It twists every silence into rejection and every waiting season into abandonment. But I did not create you to be the center. I created you to serve the center. And I am that center. Your soul finds peace not when it is praised, but when it is properly placed before me. When you seek my throne instead of your spotlight, you begin to understand who you really are. The ego distorts how you see the world. It makes you believe that every event must orbit your wants, every conversation must affirm your worth, and every outcome must support your agenda. It builds a fragile kingdom out of expectations and shatters your peace the moment reality contradicts it. But my peace is built on truth, not illusions. My truth is this: you are not at the center. I am. And when I am at the center, you finally find rest. When you place yourself at the center of your story, you become a slave to how others treat you. You become addicted to applause and allergic to silence. You check for approval like it's oxygen. You crave admiration like it's bread. But my son did not come to be praised. He came to pour himself out. He washed feet without cameras. He healed without asking for thanks. He carried a cross no one else wanted to lift. He did not seek the throne. He embraced the thorns. He showed the way to live is to die to self. He emptied himself not for glory, but for love. And in doing so, he was raised to eternal glory. Until you step off your pedestal, you will never stand in my presence. Until you dethrone yourself, you will never see my kingdom. Pride blinds, numbs, and isolates. It tells you to build a kingdom that can't withstand my gaze. But humility reveals. It invites my spirit. It opens doors to my power. You must choose what matters more, your image or your intimacy with me. Do you want to be admired by many or known deeply by me? Do you want fleeting praise or eternal purpose? Do you want the illusion of power or the truth of my presence? In daily life, this means letting others go first even when you're in a hurry. Not just once, but again and again until it becomes your nature. It means being misunderstood without needing to defend yourself every time, trusting that I see your heart even when the world misreads your words. It means taking the lowest seat without resenting it, and sometimes staying there long after the applause has died down, content in knowing that your position before men means nothing if your posture before me is not right. It means listening when you want to be heard, really listening, not waiting for your turn to speak, but hearing with compassion. It means being content to serve without recognition, doing the work no one applauds, but that I see and honor. It means giving when it won't be seen, loving when it won't be returned, and obeying when it doesn't feel rewarding. It means making peace with going unnoticed, not because you're weak, but because your worth is not rooted in being noticed. It means waking up each day and saying, "Not my will, but yours," even when that will leads to hard places. It means choosing silence when your ego wants the last word, choosing stillness when your pride wants to prove something, and choosing kindness when bitterness feels more justified. It means seeing every mundane moment as sacred and every hidden act of love as a victory over self. This is not weakness. This is the beginning of real strength, the kind only I give. The kind that roots you in peace so deeply that chaos cannot shake you. The kind that steadies you in storms when all else sways. The kind that frees you from the exhausting cycle of self-promotion and fear. When you let go of needing to be everything, you finally become who I created you to be. You walk with quiet power. You live with deep purpose. And when you die to ego, you rise in me. Not in image, but in identity. That is the life that lasts. That is the life that shines, even in silence. Chapter 2. Let me lead. Ego fights for control. It must direct, dictate, dominate. It clings to every decision as if the world might fall apart without its grip. It fears surrender because it believes surrender is defeat. But I tell you, surrender is not the end. It is the door to beginning again. True victory doesn't come from conquering others, but from being conquered by truth. When you release control, you create space for my guidance. When you lay down your will, you pick up my purpose. And my purpose will always lead you into life, into freedom, into the fullness you've been seeking in vain through self-effort. You say you trust me, but your trust crumbles the moment plans shift. You say I am in control, but you tighten your grip with every inconvenience. You make every decision based on fear of failing, of missing out, of being unseen. You pray for my will, yet demand your way in the same breath. You ask me to lead, but you never let go of the wheel. You try to follow while charting your own course. This is not faith. This is ego wrapped in spiritual language. This is pride performing as piety. Let me lead you through delay, through disappointment, through detours. I waste nothing. Not a single tear, not a single closed door, not a single moment of waiting. What you call a setback, I call a setup. What you think is loss, I use as preparation. What seems like wandering is often refining. I know where I'm taking you, but I cannot lead a heart that refuses to follow. I cannot carry a soul that keeps walking ahead. Practice it now. In your schedule, let go of the rush that drives you to anxiety. Choose presence over productivity. In your relationships, stop trying to win every argument. Seek to understand instead. In your plans, make room for me to interrupt you. In your prayers, stop performing. Come to me not with rehearsed lines, but with honest silence. Let me search your heart. Let me reorder your steps. I do not need your polish. I desire your permission. Let me lead not just in crisis, but in the ordinary. Let me into the daily decisions, the hidden fears, the unseen motives. When you surrender, you will not fall. You will finally rise into the life I've been waiting to give you. Chapter 3. Starve the flesh. Ego feeds on indulgence. It grows fat on attention, on excess, on comfort. It demands stimulation, celebration, and validation. It never says enough. It never allows rest. But the soul withers in luxury. Ease erodes discipline. Constant applause numbs discernment. If you want your spirit to rise, your flesh must decrease. The higher you desire to go spiritually, the lower your ego must be brought. Jesus fasted. He withdrew when crowds pressed in. He chose silence when accused and peace when threatened. He chose simplicity when tempted with kingdoms, and chose sacrifice over self-preservation. He lived not for sensation, but for sanctification. He was not led by the approval of man, but by my spirit. He did not follow his feelings. He followed me, even when it cost him everything, especially when it cost him everything. Your ego will always scream, more. More likes, more praise, more comfort, more control, more distractions, more attention, more influence, more security in the things that fade. It will shout louder with every step you try to take toward me, because it fears being diminished. But I whisper, less. Less noise, less self, less performance, less pretending, less obsession with image, until your soul can breathe again, until your heart beats in rhythm with mine, until you know that your worth is not earned, it is received. You cannot hear me clearly while feeding your flesh constantly. You cannot walk in the spirit while clinging to the comforts of ego. You cannot be led by me and be addicted to the applause of others. One voice must be louder. I am not asking you to reject the world. I am asking you to release your dependence on it. Let go of the things you've leaned on that never truly held you. Let go of being seen, being celebrated, being in control. None of those things heal your wounds. None of them calm your soul. They are sand beneath your feet. But I am your rock. In your daily life, kill ego with discipline. Discipline your eyes to look away from vanity, even the subtle vanity of comparison. Turn your gaze from the mirrors of the world and lift your eyes to me. Let your focus be shaped not by what impresses others, but by what honors me. Discipline your ears to crave my truth, not public praise or shallow affirmation. Learn to hear correction without offense and encouragement without dependence. Let your soul grow hungry for my voice, not for applause. Discipline your tongue to speak only when love leads and truth demands. Don't use your words to prove a point or protect your pride. Use them to heal, to build, to glorify me. Wake up when it's hard, because that is where victory is forged, in silence, in discomfort, in repetition. Wake up not just physically, but spiritually. Rise into your calling before the world awakens. Say no to what is easy, because comfort rarely births purpose. Resist the urge to choose what is safe when I'm calling you to what is sacred. Walk away when pride wants to prove, because silence often speaks louder than argument and reveals more strength than shouting. Walk away not because you are weak, but because you are anchored in something deeper than the need to win. Choose truth over attention, even when the crowd walks away. Choose my truth when it is costly, when it is lonely, when it costs you status, friendship, or admiration. Choose integrity over impulse, even when your feelings shout for revenge, recognition, or justification. Feelings are fleeting. Faith is firm. Let your actions be led by conviction, not craving. Fast not just from food, but from approval, from entitlement, from comparison, from needing to be right, from needing to be seen. Fast from self-exaltation and feast on my presence. Let your hunger for me be greater than your hunger for visibility. Learn to live unseen by the world, but deeply known by me. Let that be your reward. This is not punishment. This is pruning. This is not deprivation. This is discipline. This is sanctification. This is how your roots go deep and your branches stretch wide. This is how I strip away the noise so you can walk in clarity. This is how you leave behind imitation and step into identity. This is training your spirit to lead your flesh. This is clearing space in your life for holiness to take root and multiply. This is how you grow into the shape of my Son, humble, obedient, unshakable, so that you may bear fruit that lasts, fruit that survives storms, fruit that feeds others, fruit that doesn't rot when the spotlight fades, fruit that is holy, fruit that reflects me, not you. Because what you build in your ego will crumble like sand castles in the wind. But what I build in your surrender will stand forever, not because of your name, but because of mine. Chapter 4. Be last to be first. In my kingdom, the rules are reversed. The humble are exalted. The meek inherit the earth. The last become first. The servants are the greatest. The ones who bow are the ones who rise. But ego resists this. It sees meekness as weakness. It sees service as smallness. It scoffs at submission and despises obscurity. Ego wants crowns without crosses, praise without sacrifice, leadership without servanthood. That is why it must die. Because where ego lives, love withers. Where pride reigns, my spirit cannot. My Son did not consider equality with me something to grasp or exploit. Instead, he emptied himself. He chose obscurity over applause, obedience over opinion. He became a servant. He stooped to wash feet, dusty, calloused, ungrateful feet. He bore shame not as a victim but as a willing redeemer. He carried across the world, mocked and the heavens honored. And through that humility, he was raised above every name, not because he fought to rise, but because he stooped low in love. His exaltation was the reward of his surrender. You say you want to be great. Then serve, not to be seen, but to be shaped. You say you want to be strong. Then be gentle, especially when it costs you your pride. You say you want to lead. Then learn to follow without grumbling, to honor without seeking position. Let go of titles. They are temporary. Let go of needing credit. It is a prison. The one who kneels is the one I lift. The one who hides themselves in me will shine in eternity. Today, serve without being seen. Give without being thanked. Speak life into someone who has wounded you. Help someone you don't like or who can never repay you. Forgive someone who won't apologize and may never change. Choose humility when pride screams. Choose patience when pressure builds. Choose the way of the cross, not just in belief, but in behavior. That is the work of killing ego. That is the work of becoming like my Son. And that is where I dwell. Not in the spotlight, but in the secret place. Not in applause, but in surrender. Not in prideful glory, but in holy love. Chapter 5. You are dust and glory. The ego either inflates or condemns. It tells you that you are everything or nothing, that you must be worshipped or you are worthless, that you are the master of your fate or the victim of your past, that you must dominate or disappear. But both are lies. They are extremes that distract you from the steady truth. You are dust, yes, but you are dust that I breathed life into. You are my creation, formed by my hands, filled with my breath. You bear my image. not just in form, but in spirit, in intention, in destiny. Your value does not come from your ego, it comes from me. It is not earned or demanded, it is received. I saw you before you saw yourself. I loved you before you ever proved a thing. My love is not a reward. It is the foundation from which all truth flows. You are not worthless, but you are not self-made either. You are not an accident of willpower or ambition. Everything you have is a gift. Your breath, your talents, your opportunities, your moments, your resilience. I gave them all, not because you earned them, but because I am generous, because I love to pour into what I create. I sustain every heartbeat. I empower every thought. I inspire every act of love. And I can take them all in an instant, not out of cruelty, but to remind you that your life is not your possession, it is your stewardship. Do not worship the gift, worship the giver. Do not boast in the tools I've lent you. Cling to the one who holds eternity. I am your source, not your supplement. When you understand this, pride dies and gratitude is born. Entitlement ends and reverence begins. You stop demanding and start stewarding. You stop competing and start cooperating. You stop comparing and start rejoicing. You stop reaching for the spotlight and start kneeling in the secret place. You stop trying to be impressive and start becoming intimate with me. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking rightly of yourself. It's embracing both your smallness and your sacredness. It's living in the truth that you are completely dependent and completely loved. That is where strength grows. Not in pretending to have it all together, but in confessing that without me, you have nothing. Practice it today. Say thank you for what you usually take for granted. The sun that rises, the lungs that expand, the people you overlook. Say thank you not once, but continually, until gratitude becomes your posture. Pause before you post. Ask if your words reflect my heart or your ego. Ask if your content points to your light or to my glory. Pray before you speak. Invite me into your conversations, your decisions, your silence. Kneel before you judge. Examine your own soul before you measure someone else's. Look into your heart and ask, am I building a platform or an altar? Live with open hands, ready to release, to give, to receive. Walk with open eyes, alert to wonder, to need, to grace. Love with an open heart, even when it risks pain, even when it costs pride. The ego withholds to protect itself, but love gives to reflect me. You are dust and glory, not because of you, but because of me. Because I chose you, because I formed you, because I shaped your soul and filled your emptiness and called it good. Because I looked at your beginning and saw your becoming. Let that truth quiet your ego and awaken your worship. Let it humble your pride and set fire to your praise. Chapter 6. Break the mirror. The ego is always looking at itself. It constantly checks the mirror, not the one on your wall, but the mirror of perception, performance, comparison. It asks, how do I look to them? Am I winning? Am I better than before? Am I better than them? And in doing so, it forgets to ask the only question that matters. Am I right with God? You were never meant to live in front of a mirror. You were meant to live before me. My son didn't come to reflect his own image, but mine. And I did not send him to win approval, but to offer redemption. His mission was not to impress, it was to obey. He wasn't admired by the world, he was rejected by it. And he still chose love. Your ego keeps you circling the mirror. It keeps you performing, adjusting, contorting. But I'm asking you to break it. Smash the illusion. Stop measuring your growth by applause. Stop measuring your worth by performance. Stop comparing your calling to someone else's stage. Comparison is the thief of contentment because it is the servant of ego. In daily life, break the mirror by removing the things that fuel your obsession with image. Choose honesty over filters. Choose depth over appearance. Choose substance over presentation. Choose to be faithful instead of famous. Let me be the mirror you look into, because only my reflection will tell you the truth. And the truth is this: you are loved. You are called. You are mine. Chapter 7. Live unoffended. Ego is always offended. It takes everything personally. It twists words into weapons. It turns miscommunication into betrayal. It stores offenses like trophies and replays wounds like anthems. It demands apologies as conditions for peace. It sees disagreement as disrespect and correction as condemnation. It fuels bitterness while disguising it as justice. And it poisons your peace, drop by drop, until joy becomes impossible. But I call you higher. I call you to live unoffended. Not because offense never comes, but because love covers a multitude of sins. Offense is inevitable, but bondage is optional. My son was slandered, insulted, mocked, and abandoned. Yet he did not retaliate. He did not curse those who cursed him. He did not prove himself to the Pharisees. He remained silent because his security was not found in man's opinion, but in my voice. He knew who he was, and that knowing became his shield. If you want to be free, you must stop feeding on offenses. Stop feeding your thoughts with what they said. Stop nurturing the pain that keeps you locked in the past. Stop rehearsing what they said. Stop replaying what they did. Each time you revisit the wound, ego grows louder. Ego thrives on wounds because they validate its pride. But love releases. Love covers. Love overlooks. Love remains. Love chooses to see beyond the offense. Love remembers how much it has been forgiven. In your life, practice letting go like it's a muscle, like it's a daily rhythm. Let go of the need to be right in every conversation. Let go of the need to be validated in every interaction. Let go of the desire to correct everyone who misunderstands you because I understand you. Let your peace speak louder than your pride. Let your gentleness be your answer. Let your restraint be your strength. That is the death of ego and the birth of freedom. When you stop needing to be right, you start becoming whole. When you stop clinging to offense, you start clinging to me. And in that space, I make you free, not just from others, but from yourself. Chapter 8. Lose to win. Ego sees loss as failure, but I see loss as refinement. Ego fears any reduction because it thrives on increase, on being more, appearing more, collecting more. But I see what you do not. I see the weight of what you were never called to carry. I see the pride hidden in the pursuit of success. I see how rejection reveals where your foundation was built. You think you lost when you were rejected, when the door closed, when the promotion passed, when they walked away. But I was using it to reduce what was never meant to grow. I was cutting the branch so the root could deepen. I was trimming pride to grow perseverance. I was subtracting to multiply what matters most. My son lost everything in the eyes of the world. He lost followers when truth became uncomfortable. He lost reputation among those he came to save. He lost his rights before men so he could fulfill righteousness before me. And in doing so, he gained eternity. He fulfilled his mission. He carried the cross and crushed the grave. His greatest loss became humanity's greatest gain. His humiliation became his exaltation. So must you. You must lose the need to be popular, lose the need to be understood, lose the need to explain yourself at every turn, Lose the argument if it protects the relationship. Lose the credit if it glorifies me. Lose the spotlight if it strengthens your soul. Lose the constant pursuit of being heard if silence grows your wisdom. Because when you lose for my sake, you always gain more than you let go. You gain clarity. You gain strength. You gain purity. You gain me. Let the world think you lost. Let them misunderstand. Let them count you out. They don't keep the final score. I do. I am counting something greater. I am counting character, obedience, faithfulness. I am counting the yes you whispered in the dark, the seed you planted in secret, the kindness you gave without being seen. These are the currencies of my kingdom. These are the riches ego cannot buy. And these are the treasures no man can take from you. Chapter 9. Walk light, live free. The ego accumulates. It clings to roles, titles, achievements, followers, platforms. It collects validation like armor, afraid of ever being exposed. It stores praise like currency and hoards attention like treasure. It tells you that your identity depends on your performance, that your worth depends on your results. But what you carry to feel safe will one day weigh you down. The very armor you put on for protection becomes the chain that enslaves you. I never asked you to carry all that. I never asked you to prove your worth through what you do or how you're perceived. I said, take up your cross, not your brand, not your curated image, not your reputation, not your resentment, just the cross. Because the cross kills ego. The cross simplifies life. The cross strips you down to what truly matters. The cross makes room for resurrection. You cannot rise while you're clinging to what your ego says you need. To walk light is to live free. It is to move without needing to be noticed. It is to serve without needing to be thanked. It is to speak truth without needing it to trend. It is to love without needing to be loved in return. It is to be small in the eyes of the world, but rich in the spirit. It is to stop trying to prove and start learning how to abide. It is to let go of control and take hold of grace. It is to release your grip on everything the world says you must cling to and open your hands to what I actually give. In your daily life, walk light by giving more than you grasp. Give attention instead of asking for it. Give forgiveness even when it's undeserved. Give time to what matters most, things that won't show on your resume but will echo in eternity. Serve more than you strategize. Don't wait for the perfect moment to make an impact. Start with quiet acts of love. Rest more than you reach. Let go of the illusion that busyness equals significance. Let me fill your stillness with strength. You will find that the less you carry, the more you are carried by me. The less you cling to the fleeting, the more I anchor you in the eternal. Let go, not because you are losing something, but because you are making space for everything that truly matters. That is how you walk light. That is how you live free. Chapter 10. Die small, rise eternal. The death of your ego is not the end of your identity. It is the beginning of your real one. The one I wrote before you were born. The one shaped not by applause, but by alignment. The one not built by performance, but by presence. Not by striving, but by surrender. You are not who your resume says you are. You are not the projection you carefully curate. You are not the voice of your shame or the mask of your pride. Your true identity has been buried beneath layers of fear and self-protection. It's time to dig it out. And that process begins with death, the death of ego. You are not the sum of your status. You are not the measure of your image. You are not what they say about you. You are not your followers, your failures, or your facade. You are mine. And to be mine means you must die to every lesser identity. Every false label, every temporary crown, every fragile reputation that you've used to define yourself must be surrendered. Because only what dies in me can be raised by me. What you let go of in trust, I raise up in truth. Die small, die quiet, die obedient, die before anyone notices. Let the pride die, that voice that says you must always be right. Let the fear die, the one that makes you perform for love instead of receiving it. Let the need to be seen die, the craving that steals your peace and trades it for attention. Let the false self be buried, the version of you that was shaped by wounds, expectations, and ego. Let it return to the dust it came from, and in that death you will rise. Not a version of yourself, but the one I made from the beginning. The one that walks in grace and is unbothered by applause or rejection. You will rise steady, rise clear, rise unshaken, rise free. Rise with your feet on the rock and your heart in my hands. Rise without explanation. Rise without fear. Rise in me. This is the way of my kingdom. The way down is the way up. The path to glory begins at the grave of ego. In the soil of surrender, I plant your true strength. In the silence of submission, I awaken your true voice. Kill the ego and live. Not a life of striving, but a life of peace. Not a life of performance, but a life of power. The real kind, the eternal kind.